Welcome to Elevate Your Event, where high-stakes events meets high standards. If you've ever been told that's just how the system works and refuse to accept it, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Today we're talking about something that's changing fundraising faster than almost anything we've seen before, Agentic AI. Not just tools that rewrite emails, but systems that can help manage donor outreach, sponsorships, guest lists, and even event reporting. Joining us is Handbid's VP of Software Development, Taylor Romero, to unpack what this shift really means and how one fundraiser can now do the work of 5. Let's jump in.
Mark, we are back.
We're back and better than ever.
I know. Oh my God, it's been a while since we've done one of these podcasts.
I know, dude. I know. But we got Taylor with us today, which is awesome.
We got a special guest, and I will tell you at the same time, our brief little what do you want to call it, sabbatical, was intentional as we're trying to kind of figure things out, and a lot of the work we've been doing in Handbid over the last couple of months is the topic of today's conversation.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like we're coming into a whole new level of AI, right? Like,
yes.
3 years ago, it was kind of like, oh, cool, look, I can ask just chatbot to write my email for me, and it would do it really cool. And then slowly but surely, people started using Claude and Gemini and all these other types of platforms in order to start doing work for them. And so now this conversation is changing.
It's changing.
The future's agentic, my friends.
It is. And we brought in an expert.
Let's go.
Okay. So Handbid's VP of Software Development, Taylor Romero, has graciously agreed to join us today to talk about all of the amazing AI technology changes that are afoot. Not just at Handbid, but I think in the industry in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Big shift.
Taylor, thanks for coming.
Yeah, right on. Glad to be here.
Well, I want to know real quick, Taylor, how long have you been in coding, or how did you get into the industry, and just to set some background of what kind of questions I can throw at you.
Yeah, right on. Let me maybe just give an abbreviated version of the beginning to today. So, been doing software for 28 years.
Okay.
Got my first project when I was 14 for the district attorney in Hot Springs, South Dakota.
Nice.
Okay, true fact. The hardest part of that project was programming the dial-up modem to connect.
Oh.
And the modem books out. And
it's like, is this 56K? I don't know.
Oh, no, dude, that's like 3 times what I started, like 7 point something.
Yes.
Nice.
So, spent a lot of time building software. Along the way, started to really realize the difference between building great software and building a team that builds great software. Those are not the same thing.
Right.
It wasn't intuitive to me.
Right.
But let me define great software. So great software has 3 characteristics, as I think. People love to use it, engineers love to build in it, and the more an engineer builds in it, the faster they in the software get. So if you're working on software, if it's not getting faster, the more you're building on it, if it's getting slower and slower and slower, or buggier, it's not great.
Right.
So I'm spending time learning how to run teams that build great software, and ChatGPT 2 comes out.
Okay.
Well, it's version 2, but it's
GPT-2 is what they call it. Yeah, that was the big milestone.
Yes.
I remember that.
So I start to play with it, and I start to ask it questions, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. This is a big milestone. Also, its answers are kind of stupid. Let me push back a little bit as if I would with a human. So I call it a comprehension check. I'm not checking to see if you're right or wrong. I'm checking to know if you know what you're saying and how you answer and the form of your answer and the shape of it. What I find is after doing an exercise like that, I can tell if you've thought about something because your answer will not change.
Right.
But if I'm asking questions, your answers change. It's like, okay, just the first time so I'm pushing GPT-2, and I'm like, oh, you didn't think about this. You just tell me the answer. And I'm starting to push on it and realizing, like, oh my gosh, the same things that work with people in how to drive better outcomes works with this AI. That's one of the signals to me is like, they're onto something.
Right.
The other way I know they're onto something is, have you ever seen AI slop videos?
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that like Dreams?
Oh.
That's a lot like Dreams.
Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Yeah, and it's just
And in your dream,
you reflect on it and you're like, wow, that was ridiculous. But in my dream, it made total sense.
Right.
Yeah. And so like there's all these signs that like, wow, we're like tapping into something fundamental here about how intelligence works. So it was 10 weeks ago. We're doing work for getting a release out at Handbid. A fundamental shift happened to me when I was thinking about architecting the tools that we're building. I thought, what if instead of thinking architecturally, like you design software, what if I thought operationally? And I did actually lean into this idea that AI is people. And so by thinking about it that way, because here's what we commented on about working with AI is like working with an idiot savant.
Yes.
Like, I fixed your flux capacitor, and I'm like, dude, that's so awesome. But like, you got to get dressed when you come into the office. Like, you cannot come like that. And so I thought, what is the minimum amount of organizational hierarchy you would need to deliver software if everybody on the team was an idiot savant? And so I rearranged some things. I turned it on. And the best way I can describe it is like, imagine it's horse and buggy days. And I'm like, really good. Like, you need to get somewhere, you get in my buggy. I know where all the potholes are. I got refreshments. I know the fastest routes around town. Like, I got you.
Yeah.
And then an automobile drives by. And I'm like, shoot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got two options. I can fight for the horse and buggy, or I'm going to go build one killer automobile.
Yeah.
So I remember the system that we built. I turned it on. I watch it get 2 weeks of work done right in front of me, and I take a step back and I go, I'm out of a job. I'm not gonna code again. This was the moment everything shifted. And so we start to deploy and play with these things at Handbid, and we kind of, if you imagine like a throttle, right? Right now, I think the most throttle, if it's like 0 to 10, I think the most we've ever throttled this thing up is like a 5. And it's the metaphor you can think of is a 5-year-old with a fire hose.
But it's a very smart 5-year-old. I mean, the thing about it is funny. Yes. We turned on the Wild West, like is what we ultimately did. And it was fun to watch.
It was
but it was really a mess to clean up. So what does that really mean? People are listening to this are like, what the heck are you talking about? Because what Taylor's describing is a scenario where it was a fundamental shift. Developers, like if you kind of think up through the progression of software development using AI tools, right? And there's probably a parallel in marketing and sales and everything else. And it's like, I'm going to have it like edit my email, right? I mean, people are like, I think a lot of my family members are still in, like, I call it stage 1.
Yeah.
Like, have ChatGPT, like, rewrite your email and make it sound better, right? Well, on the coding side, there was a lot of autocomplete there. Like, you're sitting there and you're typing and you're in what's called an IDE, but like a software development environment, and you're coding. And as you're writing code, the AI engine is suggesting, like, it'll just suggest the entire rest of the function you got to write. And you're like, well, that's really cool, right? And then you're reading it and you're like, okay, but I wouldn't do that. And that would change. And it was okay. And it was somewhat helpful. But where that's evolved, to Taylor's point, is you start there. But what became very obvious is these AI agents know way more about
every domain.
PHP, Objective-C, Swift, Python. It doesn't matter. They know way more about all of those than any programmer has in their head.
Right.
Because they have, but what they don't know is how to properly implement it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's where we started, and I think you kind of fast forwarded a little bit to what we kind of the chaos that was created by what you built. But what he learned very early on is I can send off Claude or whoever, okay, and we use Anthropic tools here for the most part, but I can send Claude off to go code something for Handbid. But if I'm not paying attention to it, a couple things will happen. One, it will decide on its own how to do it, and that, I would say, a vast majority of the time is fairly correct. Although sometimes you have to remind it about things. That's the bigger issue, is it forgets what you told it.
Right.
And it's like, they call these context windows, right? But you have this thing where it's like, wait a second, I gave you these instructions. You go off to do the work. Somewhere in that process of doing the work, you completely forgot what I told you you can and can't do. Mostly the can't do. Okay.
Yeah.
And it comes back and like, hey, look at me, I finished. And you're like, it doesn't work. And it also violated exactly what I told you not to go do. Mm-hmm. And so what Taylor had to go build was an orchestration model where there's AI managing AI. Like, it's literally somebody micromanaging these agents and constantly reminding them of the rules.
Most important things.
Yeah.
Yep. I think another way that these things are idiots is you imagine you ask AI to fix the flat tire on your car, and then it comes in and is like, done. And you're like, let me go see. And you go out there and your car has no tires.
Yeah.
And it's like, I solved it forever for you.
Right. You'll never have a flat tire again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You did. Yeah. You did. But like, come on.
Well, I hate when it lies to you when I'm like, hey, set a timer for 15 minutes. And then I put something in the oven and then I like ask it, hey, how much time I have to my timer? It's like, you don't have a timer. It's like, you just said you started a timer for me.
Okay. One of the things that they're not good at is dates and times. So
Yeah.
It's universal. I had to give our systems access to machine time.
Yes.
Very early on.
Yeah.
They have to ask a computer. I mean, and those are the things that you learn over time. Like, what is this thing good at and what is it not? And so you kind of have to like keep that in the back of your head when you're asking it to do things. But what it's also gotten better at is, as we pick on it for forgetting things, it does, okay? But at the same time, it's gotten better at structuring its own memory systems so that it tries to remember as much as it can.
Yeah.
So 6 months ago, you're constantly reminding it about not just your code base, but how it's constructed and how it's organized and what your rules are. It's starting to remember most of those not because it's necessarily getting smarter. I mean, the models are getting smarter because it's storing that information on your computer in certain ways, and it's constantly recalling that information. So that part actually does help. The other point you made, though, and Taylor was, kind of giving the funny analogy of the flat tires, these things are incentivized to finish the task.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be careful. That's why we've built what we call guardrails, because it will cheat to finish the task.
It has no feeling, so
Right.
it's not embarrassed by doing something stupid.
Right.
Yeah. It's not worried if you're going to judge it later on.
Well, and what I learned from working from this is like, it is really nice working with intelligences that don't feel, because it's very productive. You can be very direct. But what I realized from working with AI, with the mistakes that it's made, I thought to myself, if you could be embarrassed by this, you would never do it again.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I realized feelings are long-term, low-resolution memories. And without that, this AI does not have that. So when we experience something, we feel it in our body, that long-term, but it's low resolution. But it's enough to bring it to attention. AI is good if you can bring something to its attention, but without feelings, it doesn't have that long-term, low-resolution callback.
Yeah.
So tell me, Taylor, we've kind of described kind of where we're at, but where does, and we do need to come back to the mess that we made that we had to clean up. We'll come back. But like,
we're almost through it.
where do you see the future of software development going based on this?
The most I could do is describe how the fundamentals have changed in an analogy, and then from there we can hypothesize, if I'm right, what could happen. So it's very, very fundamental, the way I think about what's changed. You no longer build software, you grow it. Building is a very engineering, piece by piece, how do things work, how do things connect process. Growing is organic. It means that you're watering it in a certain direction, so it'll go in a direction. And then you try to correct it, and it doesn't immediately correct. You start to nudge it back in a direction. And what's interesting is I was showing someone what we built, and they were watching it run, and they go, Taylor, it talks like you talk. I'm like, I didn't tell it to do that. So imagine, too, like this culture that's building in this simulated
landscape. It takes
landscape.
on your personality.
Yeah. Now imagine what would be a fun experiment is we set up 2 copies of it and with the same requirements, and one of them we were positive reinforcement, one were negative, and what would that do to the outcome? Think of it like it's like idiot savants, more like people. So if you think about now we don't build software, we grow it. What does that unlock? That means to build something is 1 bar of skill. To grow something's different. And you can learn how to grow. I can learn how to grow a flower very fast if I just know the basics about the soil and the timing and the watering. And software is turning into a living organism. So growing it means you don't need to be an engineer. You need to know how to grow software. It's an entirely different discipline. And I think it's going to unlock what I've kind of described as the age of the artisan entrepreneur, where every family is going to have some SaaS platform that's for them and just a few people and solves their own. I build a website for my family where it's live and it's breathing and I can click on anything and I send a prompt and new features build and I can say, I said, build out an itinerary for travel and also drop in a game of Tetris.
Yeah. And well, we as an agency, we've kind of started, I mean, my vision now is completely different because the problems that I'm starting to solve using like vibe coding, Lovable, things like that. I'm starting to think like, oh, this would be really good for my client. And then I was like, oh, what if we just create our own ecosystem that the client came into and then they have a CRM and SEO, like stat manager, like all these other kind of things. And I'm like, why don't I just build that? And then I can sell that as a service. Like, you know, like, hey, have a membership to Brand Viva and you get all this content and you get these platform tools.
Yes. And I will make you, I'll throw something at you for you to consider. As you're growing this software and it starts to grow in ways you don't expect and die and mutate in ways that you don't expect, because reach out, send me an email.
Okay.
Because these are the lessons that we're learning, right? It's like, it feels really good because you're moving really fast because the first little thing's budding, but it's going to grow and then it's going to get out of control. And that's what we're building systems to do. So just shoot an email out.
Okay, I'll hit you up for sure.
Because the other thing you'll see happen depending on how you kind of architect and construct stuff, and we saw this on the Handbid side too, is if you build features in isolation with an AI agent, it will do a really nice job. But is it going to fit and work into everything else that you already have? And it doesn't always think about that up front unless you force it to. Mm. And so we kind of learned that early on, you know, because what you're describing is software becomes something that you grow versus build, which means really I don't call them the engineer of the future, but really I would call it kind of the employee that's going to best benefit a business that's a technology company is going to be a technical product manager, somebody who you can marry up with an AI agent who knows enough about the product, enough about the vision, enough technology, because you have to pay attention to what it's doing. Yeah. And if you have no idea what it just did, it could be destructive. Okay. Yeah. So you have to have some of that knowledge.
It's the equivalent of needing to know the soil acidic composition. Like you want to be a really good gardener, you got to not only know the watering and the schedule, you got to know the soil composition.
Right. Yeah. So, like I think you just dumped a whole bunch of water on that plant. And I think that's going to kill it.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
It needs water.
Right. Yeah. Well. So anyway, you're absolutely right. I gave it way too much water. That's what it would say.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point being that as with a technical product manager, and I would put myself in that bucket, right? I mean, I spent my life in product development, prefer that software development, but I haven't coded in a century, right? So it's been one of those things where, you know, in the fall, I was like, I'm going to build a feature. And I did. I sat there and I built a feature right with Claude, really fun, throw it in there. And when I threw it in, it's like, this isn't going to fit. It's cool. It works. Works on my laptop. It's a really cool Handbid feature, but it needs to be re-architected to fit into how the rest of Handbid works. And that's the type of lessons that you have to learn when you're saying, hey, I'm just going to have this thing code for me. You still have to have some intentionality around, and that's what we're working on now. This is the cleanup to the chaos. Right. The chaos was, we're just going to unleash this thing. We're going to throw every ticket that we have in our bug tracking / software development system at it. Within reason, we didn't give it everything, but we gave it a ton of stuff and said, we're going to scope this in as the next release. And this thing went through and fixed or coded or addressed like 123 issues in a week.
I think it's up to,
Okay. And the thing is like, it did a reasonably decent job, but at the same time, when you let anybody tell it what to do, you're like, hey, I don't like that header. I think that header should be blue. And I'm in there going, I hate that header. I'm going to make it orange, right? And so you've got all these people dumping their opinions in on this thing, opening tickets, because we said, let's just tell it what we like and don't like in our software and see what it does. And it was like orange, blue, and then I think the third round, it was like half orange, half blue, It was like, it was just examples of stuff where it's like, okay, time out, right? Everybody out. Everybody get out. We're turning this thing off. This thing has coded a lot of really cool stuff, but it has created chaos in here. We need a more prescriptive plan. And we also learned at the same time, you have to give it, you absolutely have to give it really detailed instructions. You have to literally tell it this, when you're done, this is what it should look like, right? And that was all new learning for us at a new level. So that's the type of stuff we're putting into place now, which says, if I'm going to work AI software automation into our business, it's intentional. Yeah. It's not we have an SDLC, a software development lifecycle. We have our process. I'm just going to rip the engineer out who's a human, and I'm going to shove this robot in, and it's going to be the same. It's not.
Not the same.
It is not the same.
Right. All right, so then where does that bring us to events and kind of...
look at you trying to bring us back to the name of the podcast.
How do we take all this knowledge, all this advancement in AI and agents, all this kind of stuff, and what are some creative ways that we can start, applying this to our events?
Yeah, in this, I think let's just broaden it out beyond events to just say nonprofit operations. How does this work? And events is one of them. And that is, you have to be prescriptive and intentional about how you want to use AI in your business, your software, your fundraisers, your nonprofit operations in the same way. And so let's just take Fundraiser, for example. Okay. So my fundraiser's coming up in 2 weeks. And I'm like, we're right in the middle of just AI everywhere at Handbid, right? We're trying it in all these different places. So I'm like, I'm going to try it for my fundraiser. So using a Perplexity computer, which is a great tool, okay? I'm like, all right, here we go. I need you to do two things. So first of all, I'm running a peer-to-peer campaign, okay? So what I need you to do is I need you to go in and find everybody who donated last year. I have a spreadsheet of them. Or theoretically in the future, I need you to go into Handbid and pull the list, because that was not far off from the Handbid world. Go in, I need you to pull a list of everybody who donated last year. Here is my database of all my contacts that were in my emailing system. So I need you to grab them. And then I need you to go, because that's a year old, right? I need you to go through my Gmail. I need you to find everybody that I've had a meaningful conversation with, and I need you to define meaningful. To me, it's at least 2 or 3 emails exchanged. I just not looking for some guy who solicited to me. But I also need you to read the contents of the email to determine, is this somebody Jeff knows? Okay, that would be a person Jeff should ask for a donation. I need you to add those to the list. And then what I need you to do is I need you to draft my 5 email sequence for my fundraising plea. I need you to load those back up into my emailing system. And I use this tool called Direct Mail. It's like the old Mac tool. But you could do Constant Contact or MailChimp or any of those. I need them all loaded back up in there. And then I need you to create my priority list of people who donated last year. And they need to get one set of emails. And then my secondary list and another set of emails. I need you to run it.
And?
So I'm on week 2.
Okay.
$4,500 on my page, and it's automating it. And then it goes in and it finds out who donated already, takes them out of the sequence, and it just runs round 3. It creates a new list of round 3 people.
Wow.
And it's just going. So that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Now, what you want to do with that is you need to figure out, how do I empower my fundraisers to use that? It's not the charity having to go do it on their behalf. So those are the types of things where we're like, okay, we see how that works and how effective it is and what it's not good at. There's things that it's not good at, and you got to kind of clean that up. But I'm like, okay, let's take this to the next level. Okay, we're running now, this peer-to-peer falls into our Kentucky Derby fundraiser. So it's like, okay, so now I need sponsorships. Here's everybody who sponsored last year. I need the "Are you in again this year?" email to all of them, except for this one that I know is not going to sign up because they're out of business or whatever. So here's the new updated list, but here's 3 or 4 prospects I know about, but I need you to go out in the Denver area and find appropriate prospects who you think would be good candidates to sponsor our event. I need you to get their names, their email addresses, and I need you to write the solicitation email and throw it in my Gmail drafts. Let me read it, and I'll send it myself. So it came up with like 30 or 40 potential sponsors. It got about half of them right. Okay. A lot of bounced emails. So out of 30 or 40, I think there was about 20 bounced emails. I told it, these are wrong. And it went searching for new ones. Tried them again. I think I got about half of those right. So I'm about 67, 70% sending these sponsorships out. And it's just in follow-ups. And next week, it's like, who replied? I said, and it looks through my email, and it's like, no one replied, so we're going to send them another one. Or these guys replied and said, no, take them out of the list, kind of thing. It's been fascinating.
Yeah.
And then, we're doing the same thing now with getting auction items. So I get handed my spreadsheet of, hey, Jeff, these are the items you solicited last year. You need to go get them back. So I handed it to Perplexity Computer. These are the auction items I got last year. Here's the contact people. I need them back. And they're like, okay, well, we're missing these 3 people. I said, well, I asked them last year, go find them in my Gmail, pull their email address, and send it to them. And it did it. So it's like, these are the things where it's like, that is where there's still management and oversight.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's no doubt I'm still involved in making sure it's doing its job. But the solicitation process has gotten so much cleaner. I have 70% of what I asked for last year, I've gotten back in auction items.
Wow.
In 1 week. Just from this thing automating the emails. So that's, when you talk about how does this help with that to me is like kind of level 2 stuff.
Uh-huh.
Level 3 stuff is, now where does this go as I'm running and operating my event and reporting on it? So if I said running and operating your event, we're talking guest list check-in, right? Kayla and I have been talking about this, and I don't know what you think. To me, I made this comment to a client the other day, and she disagreed, but I kind of feel like one of the key interfaces of the future is a chat interface. And so everybody's used to filling out forms. Everybody's used to going to a web page. Everybody's used to clicking on buttons or swiping in an app. And I don't think a lot of the things are going to go away fast, but there's a new behavior coming out because of these chatbots.
And listen, yeah, and it's funny because I have a chatbot on my website, but it's linked directly to me. Yeah. And it's interesting when people think, like, they're putting inputs about, like, well, how much is this? Or, like, what's this? And so it's interesting to me. I'm like, dang, if I just fed all my information into, an MD file or something like that Claude could read and then respond, it would take me out of the equation. Like, it would save me a little more time, and then it would also provide a faster service back to the person asking the question,
Yeah, and that, I mean, worth talking about since you brought it up, and then we'll come back to the fundraising side, but we're rolling out a chatbot on our new website.
Nice.
And that chatbot is agentically controlled and trained. And so what I mean by that is, like, you will talk to a human if you want to, but you're not talking to some of those dumb, like, website robots that are like, hi, we're here to help. How can I help you? And you're like, this is me and Xfinity the other day. I want to cancel my account. Here's the 4 things you can do.
Yeah, it's like, no, I said cancel my account. Cancel it.
So anyway, ours is trained on our information and our data and the questions we want to ask, just so we can route you to the right response. And that can be an answer to your question, or it can be talking to a sales rep. But what we did to make it intelligent was we said, these are the types of people that come to our website. And what I want you to do, and some of them are qualified to be Handbid, and I don't mean in a arrogant way, but some people are a good fit for Handbid and some people aren't, right? And so it's like, all right, so I want you to go through 12 scenarios against these types of people, and I want you to map out and create your own scenarios around the most qualified, the ones that are moderately a good match, and the ones that are not a good match. And I want you to run the test. Then I want you to review the outcome of that and determine what the responses were that were correct or incorrect, and then I need you to go back into our tool and fix it. So this thing just sat there and ran in a loop for like 2 days until it got better. And it was funny watching it. It kind of to me was like back in, like, date myself here, War Games, you know? So it's like the War Games movie where the computer's trying to figure out the nuclear codes, and so it's getting a digit at a time.
Yeah.
Like that, I was watching this thing do it. I mean, this is an agent training itself. It's like, I ran the scenario, I'm reading the results, it didn't answer this question right. I'm giving it a 4 out of 7, and I'm going to fix these prompts inside of the chat engine, and I'm running it again. And so it was just fascinating to watch, like, the tools, like, make the tools better in a sense, you know? And I think you'll see a lot of that everywhere. But back to the, you know, kind of the event operations side, when I say the future of one of the key interfaces in the future is a chatbot. Like, one of the questions we get asked a lot is, I would say the vast majority of conversations we have, especially related to guest experience, is just the whole guest list management thing. I mean, when we talk about it, it's like, okay, I'm selling sponsorships, and Brand Viva is going to buy a table, and they're going to bring 8 people, and I got to get Mark to give me the names because I want them to show up, and I don't want them to have to give me all this information at the door. And I want no lines, and I want it seamless. And charities try to create solutions to eliminating lines and making the check-in experience better. And most of the time, those solutions make it worse.
Right.
And it's because the way the software works today is I'm either going to pull up a form, I'm going to enter in guest information and what your food choice is, or I'm going to give you a tool to go do it yourself. And you're going to have to go log into some website and do it. And then what happens when that's done? You give your names, and all of a sudden James can't come, right? So then you're like, okay, well, James can't come, so I'm either not going to bother telling anybody, and so Fred's going to show up, my other friend, who's not James. They're not going to see Fred in the guest list. And now he'll have to say, oh, well, James isn't coming. I'm taking James's spot. Now they're there at the front desk fixing stuff that you were trying to avoid. Right? I mean, there's all of those types of scenarios. Or better yet, you're probably texting the event manager saying, hey, James isn't coming. Put Fred in James's spot. So now that person has to go into the software, make the change, and she's getting or he's getting 40 of these on the day of the event, text coming in, right? And I'm like, this is where, I mean, you could use an idiot savant. It's not that hard. You could just chat.
Right.
With an interface we provide, where you'd be like, hey, Handbid, James isn't coming. Put Fred in his spot. It knows who you are. It knows the event you're going to. It's smart enough to figure those things out because it's been trained on how to do that. And you can do that over a text conversation. Like, to me, that's where AI really makes event operations better. And people will say that's impersonal. Like, oh, you know, I don't want my guests interfacing with a guest list through chat. I'd rather them call me. Well, then let them call you. But my point is that I think most people these days want efficiency over intimacy when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
I would agree.
Let me throw in some ideas there for to think about. So let's generalize the future of the interface with the systems not as chatbot, but as conversational. Because then that can...
I like that better.
Yeah, so it's a conversational interface. So when I think about wanting to create a unique experience, let's say that people connecting with machines does not people make. Like, people need to connect with people.
Yeah.
And so... it's easy to get in like a mindset of like we're trying to replace people. But if I imagine I was a high-end event, I wouldn't want technology anywhere visible, and I wouldn't want people walking up to people with laptops. I would want whatever is the most efficient thing to do what I need to do operationally while maintaining as high-quality contact with my guests as possible. That's going to be a conversational interface. That's not going to be an app that you open up, that you load up, that you scan a code, that you do it can't be that. So if you really want to connect with your guests, make it personal, the technology has to do a lot with a little. And so that's where conversational, and I want to call it conversational too, because imagine that one of the interfaces is voice through a headset. Hey, Joe didn't make it. Here's blah, blah, got to switch right and go. And the AI goes and does it. It takes 10 seconds.
Yeah.
This is a people connecting opportunity, not a people replacing.
What you said there that I think is important is that the conversational element of that, because people equate chat almost like the old Google search where it's like commands.
Yeah.
Like erase James, add Fred, right? I mean, it's not that. I mean, if you watch now how these interfaces have evolved, you can misspell things. You can leave words out.
Stream of consciousness. You can stream of consciousness it. Yeah.
And it just does it. And now the voice is going to replace the typing part. So I love exactly what you're saying, because the high-end event of the future, and everybody wants, I don't care, it's not budget related. Everybody wants a classy event.
It's human related.
Yeah. Everybody wants a classy event. And we've evolved past this at Handbid. I mean, 2014, 2015, you remember these, right? I mean, Taylor was back with Handbid back in those days. Back then, it was a row of laptops, and everybody's sitting down. And then, Lord forbid, at certain times, we even brought a printer. That's just
we brought hotspots before that was a thing.
We brought hotspots. But anyway, it's one of those things where there's tech everywhere. And then now most of our staff is honestly just on their iPhones, managing an event or a couple of iPads, and the laptops are few and far between, because you're right. Who wants a classy event where you walk in the door and there's 15 people with laptops?
Yeah. Do you know who could learn a lot from this? Airlines.
Yes. Yeah.
They still force you to walk up to someone on a computer. Yeah, let me check. No, let me check over here.
Yeah, car rental places. I'm like, what are you looking for on the computer?
Car rentals is the worst. Airlines are actually trying, right?
Yeah, there with the
self check-in and
with the apps and
But here's the funny thing,
That's
right?
True. They're doing better.
The funny thing is we were talking about this the other day, and we had another podcast where we were talking about Chick-fil-A, right? As you know, is one of my favorite, not just favorite restaurants for the food, it's one of my favorite restaurants because their focus is they know how to use technology to make the guest experience better, period. And in this mobile through line, and everybody, there's debate oh, this is really impersonal. When my guests come in the door, I want to greet them. Okay, greeting them and having them fill out information and swipe their credit card are different. Okay?
Yeah.
So to your point, it's
Connect with
that's
them during
all
that time.
done. That is all done. They're registered. They've got an app on their phone or whatever it is. They walk in, and imagine if somebody is barking in your ear in a nice professional way, the Romeros have arrived, right? And oh my God, he's an important sponsor. I need to go over. Now you're greeting him. And you're greeting him because he's arrived, not because he's in line and you're standing there checking people in and handing paddle numbers to him.
Asking for his credit card.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think there's an opportunity for those things. So I definitely like I would say the refinement of the conversation isn't a chatbot. It is conversational, and it allows for such a smoother experience for your guests, especially prior to, and it will. And when I say will, it absolutely will take a massive load off your staff.
Yeah.
Because think about all the things they're doing the day of the event, and how many times our staff is involved with them in dealing with guest list problems and changing people's emails or changing people's phone numbers or figuring out how to move tables around. That is good at that stuff. It really is. It's I'd rather just pull up a chatbot and say, I'm staring at my guest list, and tell me where I've got too many people. Tell me where I've got too few people. Help me figure out how to reorganize this guest list so that I've got the optimal seating or something. If you really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
It might freak you out. You might be like, oh my God, it's going to put the Romeros with the Porters and they hate each other. I get that. Yeah. But it doesn't have to.
Well, can I pause this for one sec? So remember, we're talking about growing software.
Yeah.
So one thing that you do, Jeff, that you don't know you do is when you have a very principled way that you speak to the AI. So you hear how he speaks when he's talking about giving it commands. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. It's practiced. So when you're in that moment and you want your tables optimized, you can't throw out something like make tables better.
Right.
And so Jeff's learning how to grow software. So the watering is like the speaking and the way you structure your requests. And so at the point of time we're in right now, you've got to actually lay out a little bit more detail. You got to know what you want. I've heard from a friend of mine who's using AI at his company. He said it's very confronting because you can't just kind of like lob an idea over. You have to know what you want. You got to know what you want as the outcome. Yeah. And so good news is AI will help you define that.
Yes.
Like you tell your problem to AI and go, write me a prompt. How should I speak to you to get good results? It'd be like, I know that answer. And you'll go, well, why didn't we start there? And it's like, because you didn't ask. Like, oh, jeez.
Yeah. And so just to move on the other side of event operations, I would say really will benefit is going to be the reporting and analytics side. Yeah. Now, there's some data privacy issues there that have to be worked out, and there's a lot of AI data privacy laws coming out, a lot. So those all have to be figured in, because if I'm going to use Mark Labriola's information in my analysis, do I have the authorization to share his private information? And I think that's all going to get worked out in a good way, because at the end of the day, I'm not using your information to like market to you. I'm using your information to figure out how to make your experience better. Yeah. And so, but what I mean by that, when you start looking at the analytics, AI will start to uncover things that you just were never going to find. And if you look at how reporting works in a lot of these platforms, especially Handbid, I mean, I'm not picking on us, they all work in a very similar way. It gives you the types of canned reports that you expect. Who are my top bidders? Who are my top donors? Right? You know, what's the bid history on this item? You know, give me the list of people who bought X or Z or Y. What it's not really good at right now is, let me go a layer deeper on that. Really show me, like, what are you could tell AI, like, I need you to scour through my event data, and I want you to give me 5 surprising things that are new trends that didn't happen last year. Like, that's the kind of stuff. Well, it does 2 things. One, this is a shameless plug. It means you shouldn't be swapping mobile bidding companies every year, because you're losing all of that rich data. Right. But at the same time, what it is telling you is it's like, I can now go a layer deeper, and the answer and the output I need is in a PowerPoint formatted deck I can give to my board. And so we were talking about this earlier, like, so how does that help a nonprofit? I will tell you, most of the time post-event, we're scrambling to just pull data out of spreadsheets and then shove it somewhere and figure out what worked, what didn't work, how many of these tickets did we sell, what hypothesis did we make about changing the price of this, and did it play out? Like, all of that was so manual. And then going back to our board and presenting all that was a manual process. I'm telling you, it happens now in 10 minutes. Yeah. And that, it blows me away. I mean, I went to a board meeting yesterday, and this board meets once a month. And the staff was asking to go to every other month. You want to know why?
Because there's no need for them to get together because of AI?
No, because it takes them too long to put the board presentations together on a monthly basis.
On a monthly basis?
Yes. They're like, and they spend days on it. Right. And so they're like, if you need us to meet monthly, we'll meet monthly. But can we meet every other month, because this takes too long? And I'm like, well, I'm fine to meet every other month, because I don't need to come to a monthly board meeting if I don't have to. But 2, like, I actually can show you how to do this in 10 minutes. Right? I mean, that's the difference.
At least, let's say at least tactically, that smells to me like an organization that lacks maybe a little alignment. We didn't say names, did we?
No.
That sounds like an alignment.
They lack some AI sophistication.
That's probably true. And I'm willing to bet you, it's like past performance does kind of predict future results, or past results predicts future performance. I would say that if they were to be tasked with picking an AI agent to commit to, it would become a month-long debate about
They'd have a meeting about the meeting to,
there's some alignment problems there, I think.
There are. But that's the type of stuff that's changing.
Yeah. What else is on our list of things? I really want to leave people with a little bit of action items, like something we can say, hey, if you're not doing this within your organization, go out and just do this one thing. Yeah. Use this tool and try doing this and see how it helps.
Yeah, I would say we need to. You need to go beyond the edit my email, right? And I think what you need to start trying to play with is some of these automated systems. And I think for a lot of people, it's not cheap. It's a couple $100 a month, but Perplexity Computer is really powerful, and it's really easy place to start. Claude Cowork is also really good. It's a little cheaper. So that might be another good place to start. The Cowork side of Claude has access to your computer, so does Perplexity Computer, but they're designed around automation. So they will go create task lists for themselves and complete it, which is different than just your classic chat. Like if you're in a chat interface, ChatGPT or regular Claude or regular Perplexity or regular Gemini, you're asking a question, it's giving you a response. Cowork or Perplexity works differently. That's where you say, I need you to go do, like, I want to build a full-on automation system to solicit to all of my donors for my next event to buy tickets. And it's like, okay, well, here's all the steps I have to go do. I've got to go pull this list and this and this and this, and it'll put together the entire plan and then execute it. That, to me, is my takeaway for listeners is go play with that and ask it how to do it. Don't just say, oh my God, well, Jeff knows how to go do it, and I would never know what to ask it. Say, this is what I want to go do. I need to solicit to all of my top donors from last year to come to my next event. I need a series of emails that I can send to them. How do I do it? And it'll tell you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's where I would go.
I think we need to create a download of AI tools to use for your nonprofit.
We could do that. And the last thing I would say is start when you start thinking about the technology partners that you're partnering with or using or buying software from, you really need to start asking them questions on how are you using this type of tools and technology, because the companies that are doing it and embracing it are the ones that are going to innovate much faster than everybody else.
Yeah. Nope. Any parting words, Taylor?
Yeah, what I was going to say as far on the idea of where to start. And I think a lot about that. You nailed it on don't give it the solution. So here's what I would say when you're starting. In anything you're trying to solve, there's a why, what, how. Why am I doing this? What am I going to do? How, what's going to be the measurements other than how I'm going to do it? And I would say when you have a problem that you're facing, don't come with the what and the how. Here's what I need to do and how I need to do it. I would say come at it with the why. I need to reach these people to get them to donate items.
Right.
And work down with it all the way down to the tactics and do it without ego or ownership of the outcome. So it's like if you want a specific outcome, you cannot do this exercise effectively. You have to want the best outcome, and then you collaborate with it all the way down to the tactics. And then anything you do not understand, you ask it to explain it more simply. And then when it's done explaining it, you tell it to go back up and rebuild what you just told me. Because what will happen is as you uncover that knowledge, just like people go, I want to change my answer. And you just go through this loop of digging in, having it clarify, re-summarize, dig it in, clarify, re-summarize. By the time you're done, you'll have your solution.
Yeah. And it's also not a bad idea to take what it tells you and hand it to another agent and have it review it.
Yeah, paste it. And you would do this with the free or $20 a month ChatGPT or Claude subscriptions to go and just start this process. And by the time you're done, you'll know what to do next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great.
All right. So should we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think that's it. You know, I'm sure I'm going to put chapter markers in here so you can bounce around.
Do it.
There's some nerdy stuff going on, but I think it's all valuable.
We're going to have Claude automate the transcript anyway.
There you go.
Put it
That's
on our
right.
website. So
you can read this depending on your learning, style.
That's right.
Cool. All right. Make sure you like and subscribe. Click that bell icon so you get notified every single time a new episode gets dropped. And
until next time. Happy fundraising.
Thanks for joining us. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone on your team who's tired of settling for good enough. And if you're ready to see what a real experience-first platform looks like, visit handbid.com. We don't just support your event, we handle it.